with your third eye and your intuitive abilities. So I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, let's get into this. Divination tools. I am so excited about this. This is a class, actually, like I said, that I created for my business probably about 6 to 8 months ago. And I did this class. It was a paid class back, goodness, probably in the fall, I believe. But I just love this class. There's lots of great information. I really just wanted to get it out here for you guys. So what I'm going to talk about is some different divination tools and a little bit of the history. So basically, for hundreds of years, people have been intrigued with seeing into their future, right? I mean, I know I've always been kind of interested in that. And back in the day, centuries ago, people would go to witches and they'd go to shamans, oracles, to learn what their future holds. But lo and behold, more and more people started to learn how they could look into their future on their own without having to go to witches or shamans or oracles. And in this class, I'm going to talk to you about some of the tools that you can use to divine specific information that you may be looking for, or any clarity and insight that you may be trying to obtain from spirit. And I'm also going to give you guys a little bit of history behind each of these tools as well. So let me see here. I'm just propping up my phone so I can see your... Okay, awesome. Just so I can see your comments because I have my notes on my computer. So we are going to start with tarot or oracle cards. Tarot cards came first, then they kind of transitioned into oracle cards. So the tarot is a pack of playing cards used from the mid-15th century in various parts of Europe to play games such as Italian tarocchini and French tarot. And in the late 18th century, it began to be used for divination in the form of tarotology. Yeah, try to say that quickly. Tarotology and cartomancy. So that's how long that tarot cards have been around for. I mean, centuries. This is stuff that goes back for centuries. So this isn't just something that somebody just whipped up and they're like, oh, let's just try this. There is some real history to, honestly, all of these divination tools I'm going to talk about today. And tarot cards are the most well-known divination tool, I would say. And over time, there have been different versions created of tarot, created from tarot cards, like angel cards, oracle cards, energy healing cards, etc. And we all know, I know that some of us have a little bit of a tarot oracle card problem, where some of us just have decks and decks of them, and they're just so addicting. They're so wonderful. They're such a great way to use to help us intuit information. And when it comes to using any cards like this, it is all about learning what each card means in any deck and how you intuit the meaning of each card in correlation with other cards drawn and the situations in which you are asking about. So first, you have to believe that Spirit is guiding you and Spirit is working with you where it comes to what cards are being pulled, what cards you are drawing. Spirit will always show up and Spirit will always guide you. But if you're a skeptic in any way and are just playing with the cards, then pretty much everything is kind of null and void where in your energy and if your beliefs and energy are not into it. So I'm not saying you won't receive correct messages, but your ability to receive the correct messages will be hindered. So I'm going to grab some cards here. So for instance, I have my cards here. These are my energy cards. I love them, right? They're wonderful. When I first got these cards, what I do is whenever I get a first deck of oracle cards, honestly, I've never used tarot cards. I'm not even well versed in tarot specifically. For me, I use oracle cards, angel cards, uh, archangel cards, ascended master cards, things of that nature. But it doesn't even matter whether you're doing tarot or any other kind of oracle cards. When you first get a deck, you always want to clear the energy from the deck, just because from the manufacturing of the cards, so many people have touched them. They've been in machinery. They were mailed. That they went through the mail system, and before they even get to you, think about how many hands have touched them. So you always want to clear your cards first and foremost. When it comes to any kind of divination tool I use, I sage them. I just straight up sage them, smudge them. And I don't really even mess around too much with, with any other kind of, like using rosemary or Palo Santo. I mean, you can, but I personally always just sage them just to clear all the energy out of them. And then what I do is once I sage them, I'll take each card, I'll hold it, I'll read the card, I'll look at the picture on it, I'll connect with it, and by doing that, I'll learn about the card, and I'll be imbuing my energy into each card so that it's connected with me. And I do that with every single card in the deck. You go through each card and you really spend time with them. You really imbue your energy into it, and you really learn about the card, about the whole deck. And then you really connect and you get your energy, and you and your deck will connect that way. And then after that, I will set it on my altar, or it can be any sacred space, with some other crystals around it. And I'll let them sit for a day or two and just kind of gather the energy of the space around. In my room here, this is where I do all of my readings. This is where I do all of my work. And I'll just let that energy soak into them. And then I'll start using them for the purposes of readings and for any other instances that you may want. Let me see. I'm just looking through here. Oracle Cards Anonymous. Yeah, Debbie, you know. So with tarot cards, that is basically, what you do. And then once you start kind of getting a feeling from the cards and from each card, you'll start to intuitively get your information. And it really, honestly, it just takes experience and practice. Even if you're experienced with using any kind of deck, each deck has its own energy, and you have a different connection with each deck. Each deck speaks to you differently. So the way you connect to it and the intuitive information you get to it comes through specifically with every deck that you use. And you'll start to see the connections if you do certain layouts with your cards. If you do if you use like just a 3-card spread or a 4-card spread or an 8-card spread, you'll start to learn after the experience of how you're connecting the messages from each card into one specific message. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Let me take a sip of my water. Okay, next, I'm moving on to runes. Yes, runes. I don't know if anybody has any experience with using runes. I don't have any. I know some people who do use them. I actually am really intrigued, and I do want to get some runes for myself to start using. But runes have been used since the beginning of the 20th century as a way to answer questions that we may have for the divine. And runes are actual tiles. They can sometimes be cards, but for the most part, you're always going to see them be like little tiles. I don't know if any of you know the old game called Rummikub. They're like little tiles. They're like that. They're kind of like little tiles like that. And each rune, each tile has a specific symbol on them that means specific things. So rune tiles or rune stones, they come in a set of 24. And they have ancient alphabet symbols on each rune. Each symbol has a specific meaning. Some runes may have a different meaning depending on how they are placed, whether it be right side up or upside down. The traditional way of reading runes is done on a white cloth. You'd have a white cloth over a table where you would cast your runes after asking a specific question. The runes that fall right side up are the ones that you will read and receive your answers from. And you can also use runes for a daily reading by picking one rune for your read for the day, or you can pick like 3 runes to get a more comprehensive read into what question that you are asking. So this is a really fun divination tool from what I have seen. Like I said, I don't have any runes myself, but I've seen other people use them. And again, you're going to want to clear them and sage them. You know, when you receive them, you're going to want to touch each tile, each rune, and imbue your own energy into them so that you can really connect. And once you do that, you'll really be able to start getting that intuitive information that comes through each symbol that comes up through the runes. Jody, yes, yours are like stones, right? So they're either rune tiles or rune stones. There's different types of runes. So I'm glad you said that, Jody. Yes, some of them are like stones for sure. So that's another divination tool that is very popular and that I've seen many people use around in this day and age. Okay. Yeah, Debbie, I haven't used any yet either, but I really kind of want to expand myself into using those. I'm personally a little partial to my oracle cards, my angel cards, and to pendulum, things like that. But I really want to try to expand because I feel like for each different divination tool that we all use, we're really able to connect in a different way with our intuitive abilities. And I'd really like to dive into that more myself. So next, I know you guys have all heard about this, what I'm going to bring up next. We're going to talk about the spirit boards and the Ouija board. Yes, it's actually a divination tool. I swear to God, it is. So let me talk a little bit about the spirit boards or the Ouija board. So the Ouija board, following its commercial introduction by businessman Elijah Bond on July 1st, 1890, the Ouija board was regarded as a parlor game unrelated to the occult until American spiritualist Pearl Curran popularized it and its use as a divining tool during World War I. Spiritualists believed that the dead were able to contact the living and reportedly used a talking board very similar to a modern Ouija board at their camps in Ohio in 1886 to ostensibly enable faster communication with spirit. So that's how far back the Ouija board goes and the spirit boards go. It goes back to the 1800s. And actually, some Christian denominations have warned against using Ouija boards, holding that they can lead to demonic possession, and crazy stuff like that, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But occultists, on the other hand, are divided on the issue, as I'm sure many of you know. And some say that it can be a positive transformation. Others reiterate the warnings of many Christians and caution inexperienced users against it. And I have to say, I do kind of agree with that. You want to be experienced. You want to know what you're doing before you start breaking out the Ouija board. Okay? And I'll explain to you why. So Ouija boards obviously are used to connect with those who have passed on or with other entities that reside in other dimensions. Now, I know that we all have heard horror stories about the Ouija, and some may be true, as you do have to know exactly what you're doing when contacting spirits from the other side. Your wording that you use when calling to other spirits is of utmost importance. And you also have to be aware that when you open that portal to communicate through a Ouija board, that there can be other spirits or other entities that can cross through that portal as well. So you really, again, it's not a game. You know, I know it was promoted as a game, as a parlor game way back in the day. But there really is some truth to, if you know, it's all about your intention, and it's all about your intention when you are using this Ouija board. So words matter. Words hold energy. So you really want to be careful about what you're saying when you are opening up this portal for you to use for this Ouija board, and who you want to connect with specifically. It's good to have a specific spirit in mind that you want to connect with where it comes to using the Ouija, because once you open that portal, you know, you can other spirits, other entities can come through that portal. So you really want to be very careful when using that. And I do have to say that I remember I have one really incredible experience that I'll tell you about really quickly here with using a Ouija board. And again, yes, I think I saw Debbie here. Honestly, think any spirit communication could bring in both good and bad. Absolutely. That is absolutely. So it really is all about your intention and knowing what you're doing, right? So, hi, Jeremy. So glad you're here. So one really incredible experience I had with a Ouija board is one of my best friends I've known for, 20 years now. It's about 7.5 years ago. Her husband passed away suddenly, like very suddenly. He had an allergic reaction, and he was gone. And the day before his wake, I was with a mutual friend of ours, and we decided to play around, connect with the Ouija board. And so we're sitting there, we're using the Ouija. We're being very thoughtful about our wording, what we're, who we're trying to connect with. I wasn't necessarily saying I wanted to speak to him. His name was Sean. I really didn't think he would connect, as he had just passed away a few days before. But we're sitting there, and the piece started moving on the board. You know how Ouija boards work. And we both kind of took our hands off, and it kept moving. I'm not lying. This happened. I swear to God. I still am shocked and dumbfounded that I actually saw this happen right in front of my face. And it spelled out my friend's name, Alyssa. Her name is Alyssa, the one whose husband passed away. It spelled out, "Tell Alyssa I will always love her." And then it went to goodbye. And that was it. This was the day before his wake. I'm getting the chills right now thinking about it. Oh my goodness. Love you, Sean. Yeah, it was a really incredible experience. And the friend that I was doing this with, she's sitting there and she looked at me. She's like, "Oh my God." She's like, "Oh my God, did this just happen?" And I was like, "Yes. Now how am I supposed to go to his wake and tell Alyssa that this happened tomorrow?" I was like, how do I do this? How do I tell her this? Tell Alyssa I will always love her. So that's my story about working with the Ouija board. So it is all about your intention. It is all about the energy that you come into it with. You can get some beautiful messages from loved ones who have passed on. And as long as you are in a right from a frame of mind and your attention is pure and beautiful, you really shouldn't have any problems with it. So I just had to share that story with you where it comes to Ouija boards or spirit boards. Again, I swear to God, that is a true story. It was really unbelievable. And then I didn't tell my friend Alyssa at the wake about that. It was probably a few weeks later, I let her know, and she knew. She was like, she knew. So it was a beautiful message to be able to give to her. And the fact that he trusted me to give it to her felt pretty special to me as well. So that was very cool. Okay, so next divination tool we're going to talk about is crystal balls. Ooh, fun stuff. So, crystal balls. The earliest use of a crystal ball can be first attributed to the Celtic Druids who divined the future and omens with beryl balls, Beryl. And in the 1st century AD, Pliny the Elder describes use of crystal balls by soothsayers. So this is 1st century AD, guys. This is how far back this divination tool goes. That just blows my mind. It's hard for me to even wrap my brain around that, to be honest with you. And by the 5th century AD, scrying was widespread within the Roman Empire and was condemned by the early medieval Christian church as heretical, right? I mean, we kind of all knew that was coming. So that's really how far back the use of crystal balls go, which is really pretty incredible. So crystal gazing was actually also a popular pastime in the Victorian era and was claimed to work best when the sun is at its northernmost declination. Immediately before the appearance of a vision, the ball was said to mist up from within. Pretty cool, right? So, when we picture a psychic, it's always, when you think of the typical picture of a psychic, it's always an eclectic looking woman, probably with a scarf wrapped around her head and big hoop earrings, and she's hunched over a crystal ball. So that's not exactly the story. While that's not exactly the story the picture paints, there is some truth there. So crystal balls have been used for, like I said, thousands and thousands and thousands of years by seers. And the key element to using a crystal ball is meditation beforehand. So what you do is you look into the crystal ball to see images in your mind's eye, which you then in turn use your intuition and connection to receive messages from. And also, it's not always just in your mind's eye. Sometimes you'll start to see images in the ball form. You may see some images with your physical eyes. Some things that may have been there before, but you never noticed, or things may seem to shapeshift a bit in that crystal ball. But it's all about your interpretation and your intuitive connectedness and what you are seeing. And if you may start to see certain symbols, and you really do have to connect to with certain symbols that you use where it comes to your intuitiveness. Because a lot of intuitives during meditation, or even when you're giving readings, you'll see things, clairvoyantly, and you'll start to see symbols, and certain symbols mean certain things for every person individually. And that's really how scrying with the crystal ball works. Excuse me. And keep in mind that you don't have to buy an expensive crystal ball. Size does not matter where it comes to that. And I will not make a joke about that. But size does not matter where it comes to crystal balls. Okay, guys? Um, keep in mind, though, that glass will be more expensive as well when it comes to if you want to look for a crystal ball to buy. Glass is going to be more expensive. But remember, you don't have to buy a real big, huge crystal ball. You can buy really any size. Again, it's all about your intention and your connection with the tool that you are working with. That is most important. I always like to say, too, that your intention is a divination tool all of its own. And whenever you use whatever divination tool that you use, it's all about your intention. We should really classify intention as a divination tool, I think. I think I'm going to do that from now on. So keep that in mind. Debbie says, I take photos of them so I can have longer to look at the messages. Debbie, I love that. That's a great idea. Absolutely love it. Okay. Water break. All right, how are we doing here? Okay, great. So next, we're moving on to scrying mirrors. Now, scrying mirrors, they're somewhat similar to crystal balls, and actually, they pretty much have the same history. It's just another aspect of using crystal balls. So scrying mirrors are used in a similar way to crystal balls. You can use any mirror, although I would personally suggest having a specific mirror to use for scrying, as you want it to have that positive energy that you've imbued into it. You want to have that specific tool that you use and that you always keep in a high vibration. So what you want to do with a scrying mirror is you will want to take your mirror and go into a dark room, and you're going to want to light a candle or two, in the dark room. You're going to take a few minutes to meditate and center yourself, because again, the most important part where it comes to scrying at any time, whether you're using a crystal ball or a mirror, is the meditation beforehand and during. Excuse me. So take a few minutes to meditate and to center yourself. You then look into the mirror without focusing. You're not focusing on anything specifically. You know how you can kind of just sit and gaze, and you don't focus on anything. You want to make sure that you're not focusing, and you just see what images come through for you. You then will intuit what these images mean to you. Again, you may see some symbols that you use, as an intuitive. You might start seeing symbols that mean specific things to you. And then you will intuit what these images mean to you. Some people say that they will see faces of people that will come into their life in the future when they are mirror scrying. And when it comes to using crystal balls or scrying mirrors, you can also just use water in a bowl, honestly, if you don't want to. This is a really a kind of a cheap way for you to kind of see if this is something that you're even interested in or something that calls to you. You don't have to buy a crystal ball or specifically get a mirror for this purpose. You can literally put water in a bowl and use the same process. As long as you have a clear surface to look into with candlelight, you will get the same effect. Again, remember, it's all about intention when it comes down to it. Okay? Okay. Next, I'm going to start talking about pendulums. Oh, I love pendulums. I have a couple here myself. A couple of my pendulums. I have these beauties. This was my first pendulum ever, which I absolutely love. It's a chakra pendulum. I don't know if you can tell all the different colors there. They're all different crystals. I love this piece. Gosh, I probably got this probably about 5 years ago, maybe 5, 6 years ago. I just this piece has a special place in my heart. And then I have this beautiful pendulum that my beautiful friend Lisa, who is a member here in the Lightworkers Lab, bought for me and gave to me at Christmas. Isn't that gorgeous with the angel and the clear quartz? I love this piece. It's just really just so perfect and so beautiful. Debbie, you have the same one? You do? What, the angel one? Oh, how funny. I don't know if you meant the, Debbie, you got to tell me which one you mean. If you meant my chakra one or the angel one. Okay, so pendulum. So the pendulum has been used for hundreds of years by professionals and lay people to find hidden treasures, diagnose disease, locate missing persons, and even to find gems beneath the earth. Debbie, you have the chakra one? That's so cool. I love it. I know. I absolutely love this. It's just, again, it holds a special place in my heart. That's so cool. I've never known anyone else to have this. I'm so glad you do. So, okay. So predating the pendulum, dowsing or divining rods were employed to discover where water, oil, or minerals existed underground. And I'm going to talk about divining rods in a couple minutes here. Even though the pendulum's range of use is far more extensive. So pendulums are often used as tools for spiritual healing and inner growth. They're defined as objects attached at the end of a string or metal chain. When suspended from a stationary position, the pendulum will swing back and forth or in a circular motion. The typical image of a pendulum is that of an object with 4 metal balls, such as on an employee's desk. You all have seen those where you pull one and then it hits and then the other one goes. You know, that's how we always think of pendulums, really. And that's also known as Newton's pendulum. But alternatively, the image of a pendulum watch clock swinging back and forth may ring a bell as well. You can also make your own pendulum just by using a necklace that you are connected to, or just use a simple string with a stone tied to the end of it. And you can also use mandala art as mats where it comes to using your pendulum as well. When it comes to using them instead of buying mats. Like I have a mat here, a pendulum mat, which is pretty cool. You know, it has the basic yes, no. I love this pendulum mat. Wait, show you. There you go. You don't have to have anything like this when you're using a pendulum. I mean, they're fun and they're cool to use, but it's not necessary. But pendulums, again, are something that you don't have to be spending a lot of money on. You don't even have to go and buy one if you don't want to. You can use anything that has a string or a chain with something tied to the end of it. So it's a really great way for you to kind of start to really connect with your energy. As with pendulums, when you use them, you will first learn yes and no, which way the pendulum will be moving or swinging to find out what your yes answer is and your no answer is. And with pendulums, again, when you use these, it's always really yes and no questions. It's really the only way that you can really use them. You can't be asking questions like, hey, what's my next career path going to be? Because clearly the pendulum can't answer that. What you may want to ask instead is, will my new career be in the healthcare field? And then you will get it swinging either yes or no. But it also depends on you which way means yes and which way means no to you. So what I always do is before, whenever I use a pendulum, any pendulum at any point, is I'll ask a question like, is my name Stephanie? And then I'll see which way it swings. So that's clearly a yes answer, right? And whichever way the pendulum swings for that yes answer that I already know, that is my yes baseline. I'll then ask a second question, like, is my name Robert Downey Jr.? Clearly it's not. So then I'll wait and make sure that the pendulum is swinging in the different direction, the opposite direction of my yes answer. And for me, and it'll switch from time to time. It used to be that my yes answers would be vertical, right? Going back and forth. Now my yes answers go side to side. So it's something good that you want to keep checking up on every so often, because as your energy changes, the way your pendulum works with you will change as well, because it really is connected to your energy. So you kind of want to get that baseline down first as to what is your yes answers and what is your no answers. And it doesn't just have to be vertical or horizontal or vertical swinging. They also can swing in clockwise and counterclockwise ways as well. Sometimes people's yes answers are a clockwise spinning, and sometimes a no answer is counterclockwise. So it's a very individual thing, and it's something that you have to figure out how it works with you before you really start using it. Okay, let me see. Where am I here? Hope I'm not going too fast for you guys. I just know I had a bunch of information that I wanted to get through. Also, pendulums actually are really, they can help with healing as well. Pendulums promote healing with a process of dowsing, which seeks out invisible energies. This connects people to higher energies spiritually and can help locate any blocks in energy that you may have, like within your chakras. So pendulums are used as a form of reflecting by asking questions to receive guidance, awareness, and understanding. Balancing one's chakra is also possible with pendulums, as pendulums tend to pick up on subtle vibrations to clear the body and balance body, mind, and spirit. Thus, pendulum objects can help relieve forms of pain, whether emotional or physical. They're really, truly an incredible divination tool to use. Okay, let me see. And again, intention, intention, intention. Right, guys? I'm going to keep throwing that out there. Okay. Got two more tools that we can use for divination here, guys. Let me take a sip. Okay, so next, I'm going to talk about using tea leaves and teacups and reading tea leaves, which is really cool. This is something that I'm pretty new to. I haven't really done this that often, but I think it's a really, really cool and fun divination tool. So tea leaf reading is a tradition that likely began soon after the discovery of tea by Chinese Emperor Shen Nun in 2737 BC. Once a cup of tea is enjoyed, a ritual is performed involving tapping into the subconscious, meditating, and letting the tea leaves left at the bottom of the cup tell a story about the tea drinker's present life and upcoming future. It is speculated that before the discovery of tea, Chinese monks analyzed the designs and cracks that formed on the inside of bells for similar purposes. I thought that was super interesting. So using tea leaves is an easy way to get divine messages. You would make tea with tea leaves that are not in the bag that we're used to. You know, you don't go and buy a tea bag. You get your loose tea leaves. And you drink the tea. And as you get to the bottom of the cup, the tea leaves will form specific patterns for you to read. The tea leaves will also form certain symbols. So it is helpful to have a basic understanding of what certain symbols will mean. Like, for instance, if the tea leaves form some kind of what looks like maybe a mountain range to you, or it looks like a mountain scene, that can mean that you're coming into a specific part of your journey that may have some hindrance ahead. That's a certain way that you may be reading into it. You really do have to use your intuition to read into what these symbols mean. Or for instance, if you see a snake head in the symbols that the tea leaves created, that may mean that there's some falsehood in your life. So you really want to take some time to meditate on your own specific symbols and what they mean to you. They also have, I've seen that they have actual teacups that are made specifically for tea leaf reading, and they'll have the whole inside of the teacups will have specific symbols, or they'll have symbols or pictures on the inside of the teacups, and kind of where those tea leaves land on the inside of your cup. It's a really cool way where you can be drawn to specific symbols that mean specific things that are drawn on the insides of the cups. They're really, really cool. I would suggest checking those out if you're interested in tea leaf reading. Bye, Karen. I'm so glad you were here. Good night, love. Okay, guys, the last one I have to talk about here is the dowsing rod. So, dowsing, as practiced today, may have originated in Germany during the 16th century, when it was used in attempts to find metals. I mean, we've all seen, like even back, like when I was a kid, I remember seeing shows like Little House on the Prairie, right? And you have those old prospectors, and they would have their divining rods looking for water. Like there's actually something to that. And as early as 1518, Martin Luther listed dowsing for metals in an act that broke the first commandment. Again, a little bit of something we're kind of used to hearing here where it comes to any of these divination tools. But dowsing rods are used for a specific type of divination, for finding things or places, more so than forecasting the future or seeing future events. So the most common types of dowsing rods are used to find metal or ore deposits, O-R-E deposits, gemstones, oil, groundwater, or even grave sites. A dowsing rod itself is an L-shaped or Y-shaped twig or rod. If you go into like a metaphysical shop, you'll see dowsing rods. They're usually metal or copper, and they'll have a short handle that you'll hold on to, and that'll have a long rod at the end of them. And when you hold them, you'll see that the dowsing rods will be moving, in any which way. And again, it's very similar to pendulums, where the dowsing rod will move one way for yes and will move another way for no. Sorry, guys, I gotta answer. Malcolm? Yeah? Sweet baby Rays. Okay, sorry. It's okay. My husband is going to buy dinner, and I'm asking for a specific kind of barbecue sauce, and he forgot the name of it, so sorry for that interruption. He just texted me, tell everyone I'm so sorry, but I need to know the name of the barbecue sauce you need. Anyways, yes, the dowsing rods are very popular with farmers back in the day. So the most common is a Y-shaped branch plucked fresh from a special tree, such as hazel, witch hazel, or willow. When it really comes to divination and to using specific woods for dowsing rods, specific types of woods, those are the woods that are most popular when using dowsing rods: hazel, witch hazel, or willow. So again, it's not like something that you have to go and spend a ton of money on. You can find your own rod or branch that's automatically that, that is just born into a shape like that. And you can use that as your own personal dowsing rod. And this rod is held by the users who walk around a target area awaiting a dip, an incline, or a twitch in the branch when the item for which the person is searching is just beneath them. So you can buy, again, dowsing rods as well, but you don't have to. And you can find natural rods out in nature. If you're someone who's really connected to nature and really connected to a more of a Gaia energy, or you have a little bit more witchiness in you, a little bit more Wicca, you could do something like that. Or you can go buy a dowsing rod, and that all works just as well too. Again, it's all about your intention. So let me see. Alice, your mom uses the same sauce. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I had a hankering for barbecue tonight, okay? So I told them, I want the sweet baked ribs. Give me that. Okay, so yes, copper rods, Kathy Sue, exactly. Those are the kind of rods that I mostly see when I'm in metaphysical stores, are the copper rods that you hold on, and then they kind of just move back and forth. And again, you can use them with yes or no questions, or let's say you lost something, you lost your keys, you lost a watch, and you hold the dowsing rod, and it will move. It will, if you set your intention and you really kind of focus in and you really kind of sit and meditate, meditate on it for just a couple minutes. You follow the direction the dowsing rod leads you to, and it does work. I've seen people use it, and I've seen people find stuff that they have lost, and I've seen it help them find these items where they disappear to. So it's a really great tool to use, and they're fun to use too. And again, the more experience you have with them, the more you connect your energy with any of these tools, the more they're going to work with you, and they're going to assist you, and it's going to be connected to your energy, and the more useful it will become for you. It does, right, Kathy? It does work well, definitely. So, does anybody have any questions? That is my list of divination tools for today. I thought that would be kind of a fun class, a fun way for us to talk about some different divination tools, as I know that we're all very interested in that, and we all really use so many of these tools anyways. I kind of wanted to give a brief synopsis for each one that could get, and if for any of you haven't used any of these tools, go for it and try it. Let us know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, or if you have specific oracle decks or tarot decks or something that works for you, please let us know. Oh, I'm so glad, Jody. You're so welcome. It's my pleasure. Debbie says also you can also use smoke, steam, and fire to scry with. Very good point, Debbie. Thank you very much. Debbie, you always bring up such great information too. Thank you. Absolutely. Smoke, steam, fire. Those are all things that you can scry with. So it doesn't just have to be a crystal ball or a mirror or like a clear surface. There's so many things that we have at the tips of our fingers that we can use to divine all kinds of information and all kinds of intuitive aspects. So it's really fun. Clouds, yes, exactly. Cheryl, I'm not going to do any readings tonight. I'm on a little bit of a time constraint, actually. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to do any readings this evening. I apologize. I have been trying to catch up for the past, last night and today with everything since I was out of town this weekend. So I have a lot of stuff to catch up on. But I'm so glad you all joined me. Thank you so much for being here this evening with me. Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the class. And again, if you guys are interested in my Opening Your Third Eye class, you can click that link at the top of this page here or at the top of this post here, and you can get more information and you can register and sign up for my class that starts this weekend. I'm so excited. So And feel free to ask me any questions as well at any point. But thank you all for being here. It was so great being able to talk to you all and connect with you all. I promise next Tuesday I will definitely be giving readings. I will be connecting with you all more in that manner. And I can't wait to see you all so much. See you guys again, definitely. And I'll be obviously posting and be around as I always am in the Lightworkers Lab. So I love you all. You all have a wonderful evening and enjoy the rest of your week. Good night.